Hello everyone, Hilly Traffic Plasma here. Welcome to another video. Today we're going to be showing you a tutorial on how to make an advanced level into Halo 1 using the 343 tools that 343 gave us. So if you haven't watched my previous tutorials and have this mesh up, I highly recommend you watch those. I'll put a card up on the top right. So basically, I tell you how the mod tools work, how to set up this level and its basics. And I told you to save this when this tutorial came around. So here we are. I got the basic model here. If you don't have what's constructed here, I would recommend you look into that card and look at my previous video on Blender or 3D Studio or Blender. Just watch that Blender video and make this part here, complete that video, and come back to this video. So anyways, for those who already have this set up here, we're going to make a continuation on what we're going to be doing with this level to a greater degree. So this will cover how to add structures, water, and portals like a viewer wanted to see. So I will be going over these in this video. So yeah, so what we're going to do is I'm going to start off with water. So what we're going to do is we're going to do Shift A, we're going to add a plane, and what we're going to do is we're going to scale it, and then we're going to do SY, scale on the Y-axis and the X-axis to match it with this this stream that we have here. So what we do is we scale it enough like this, and we move it on the X-axis, and then we moved it on the Y-axis here, and I'm pretty much just making sure that the plane itself matches or is pretty darn close with the stream. So I told you to pull these down. If not, pretty much you click on these squares and you subdivide them once by right clicking, and then subdivide once, and then you pull them down by vertice, and that's how you make that little incline. So yeah, that's pretty much what we're going to use this stream for. So anyway, so what we're going to do now is we're going to go into here, and then we're going to select our faces here before we add the texture. Here, I'm going to hide this by hitting H. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into here, click on these faces here, and I'm going to make a new material called example tutorial, what is it called? Example tutorial Streambed. So Streambed. I think that's what it's called. I think. I can go into the mod tools folder. So basically I can go to, let's see, tags, levels, tutorial test, nope, not tutorial test, it's test tutorial. And then right here, you would go to shaders, and you'll see what it is. So yep, Streambed. So exactly like that. So what this does is essentially this basically makes these faces into, these basically make these faces into water. So you don't need to UV unwrap these. So you can color these like yellow or whatever, like whatever color that like indicates that they're actually water, or blue, doesn't really matter. So we can do blue. So anyway, we got the Streambed done, and we're gonna do Alt H to reveal the thing again, and we're gonna put our texture up. So we're gonna do new, and then we're gonna type in example tutorial stream and an exclamation mark. The reason why we put an exclamation mark is this will indicate to the game that this is render only. So this is not, collision. So this is just render only. It doesn't have collision or nothing. It's just meant to render within the level. So that's pretty much it. So yeah, that's pretty much what it is. We're gonna go click this button here. We're gonna add our texture. You go to your data levels tutorial. So you go to your data directory into your mod tools folder, and then you go to levels, test, tutorial, and then bitmaps, and you'll find these bitmaps here. So what we're going to need is this one. And now what we're going to do is normally I have a separate window for this, so I don't have to like manually go up to here. So what you would do is when you're in that UV part that I showed you, what you would do is you would do a UV unwrap. So you do U and then unwrap, or if it's not scaled enough, or if it's not scaled properly, you would do go to object mode, Control A on that object, all transforms, and then here, what we're going to do is we're going to UV unwrap this again, and it should properly unwrap it. But if it doesn't wrap it all the way like this, you would do U and then Smart UV Project Scale to Bounds. And sometimes it'll come out with this, and that's normal. So what we're going to do in here is we're going to rotate it. So SX like this. So in order to, and by the way, if you need to access this, you go on the top left, go to UV editor. And that's how you access that. If you have a dual screen monitor, you can do like new window and then make a separate window for the UV unwrap. But for this instance, what I'm going to do is I'm going to split it so I don't confuse you guys. So I would do vertical split, and then do UV editor. And then you can see it from there. So like how I was describing it, you would do Smart UV Project and it will come out like this. So it looks correct, but projective wise, it does not look correct. So what you would do is you would rotate it horizontally like this, and you hold Control to control it. And then what we're going to do is do SX and then SY, and you would scale it to the proper position. So yeah, it would look something like this if you got the correct if you have the correct projection. Sometimes it likes to flip it the other side. So anyways, so that's the projection part. So now we're going to join this area for now, and what we're going to do now is we're going to loop cut this plane here. And on the bottom left, we're gonna, it'll tell you the number of cuts. We're gonna do left click and then right click to center it, and then left click again, and it will loop cut 8 segments of this plane. So now we're gonna do Alt Z. What I highly suggest doing is you can either do Alt Z or click this button for this X-ray function, or what you can do is you can either hide the face from up above. So if I'm in this, or actually no, it doesn't work. Never mind. So if it was continually like together, you would hide that face. But since I'm in a separate object, I don't have to worry about that. So you could just stick with Alt Z for now. That's gonna be kind of your best friend when it comes to doing this kind of stuff. So now what we're gonna do is we're going to move these by vertice. And you can kind of see the little cutouts here, or little like where the water ends, so to speak. So what we're going to do is we're kind of moving these around so that way it'll match it properly. I know this doesn't seem very convincing, if you will, but yeah. So if it doesn't really fit, you can like move it like this. I mean, you just kind of move it around until it fits, like that. And you can also do edge select to move these forward, like that. So you can move these forward. So what we're going to do is we're going to move these on the y-axis. And then we're going to move this on the y-axis again, y-axis again. Pretty much you just do this until you get pretty close to projecting this correctly. So yeah, that's how I do it. I can't really do much here because it's not going to really turn out the way I want it to be. So yeah, that's pretty much how it is. So it fits pretty good in the water. It looks a little weird, but you know, what can I say? So what we're going to do here is do the same thing. So I kind of want to make it less, you know, crappy. So oh, and I'm going to save this as tutorial. Save this in here. So yeah, so we got the water in now. Now what we're going to do is we are going to just temporarily we're going to make a frame. So we're going to make a cube, move this out here, F2, and then we're going to call this frame. So we're going to scale this, move this up, and then we're going to tie our stream to the water. So we're going to click the stream, hold shift, click on the frame, control P, object cube transform. So now this water is attached to the frame. We're not going to attach our frame yet because we're still working on it. So we're going to add the hills a little bit later. Theoretically, I already did move these hills, but for this reason, I want to try doing it when I get the structures in and all the stuff that's, you know, pretty essential to this level. So anyway, so now we got our water in. Now it's time for the structures. So for the structures, it's pretty simple. So what we're going to do is we're going to do Shift A, cube, scale this up, move this to the x-axis or y-axis, doesn't matter. What we're going to do now is we are going to put this on the ground. So what we're going to do is we're going to put this to vertex mode here. I'm going to make and you can do Shift Tab or hit this magnet to enable our magnetism or snapping mode for that. And then what we're going to do is we're going to use our player model as a scale reference. So we're going to use them as a scale reference. So we're going to do RZ. I think it's 90. Nope. It's probably 180. Nope. Negative 90 or 90, depending on what you're facing. So what we're going to do is we're going to move him or move this cube here, and then we're going to hold Alt and then hold middle mouse button in and then move with the mouse. And it'll take us to orthographic view. And we're going to do Shift middle mouse button to move around so we can keep this straight as possible. So yeah, so it looks like he can fit within that cube, so that cube works. So this should be pretty good. I might want to scale it just a tad, not too much. Maybe this one is perfectly fine. And I can just scale it up a little bit, and yeah, so that works. So now what we're going to do is we are going to extrude both of these faces. So go to face mode, select both of these by holding shift, and then we're going to do E, S, and then Y or X, depending on what direction you are facing. And we're going to stop there, and then we're going to do we're going to extrude through here. And then what we're going to do here is with these vertices, in order to make this like a basic, like, you know, triangular stair, we're going to click the top vertice and the bottom. We're going to hit M and then at last. And we're going to do these to that same part here, and you have a basic stair for there. So now, moving on from that, we are going to make the stairs, or not the stairs, the doorways. So now we're going to inset it like this, and then we're going to delete the bottom of this cube that we created. So, like, you know, this bottom area and the faces underneath it, and we're going to snap this edge there. So once you've done that, now what we're going to do is we are going to scale the top of this door frame that we generated. We're going to do SX or SY, and we're going to do the same thing with the bottom. So we're going to do the same thing. So SX, There we go. So that works. So now once you've got the same position that I have it, we're going to click on both of these faces that we generated, and we're going to do bridge edge loops. And you can see here that it created this hallway, and we want to make sure that the Master Chief can fit in there. It looks like he can, so he can comfortably fit. So that's why it's important to have a scale scale model Spartan, just in case you know you need to know how tall it is. You can adjust it if you want, so you can like click the face up here and like adjust it if you wanted to. So you want to do some fine tuning, you give them a little wiggle room, and boom, there you go. So now, moving on, we're going to do the, we're going to delete these two faces that I just deleted, and we're going to make the ladders. So we're going to do ESY, and then ESY again, and then we do GY, or GX, and then EX, and move it just enough. You don't want to hit the edge. If you have that problem, you can kind of move the faces like that, but I don't think it doesn't need to be that deep. Just something like this would work. So if we want to copy the same thing we did right here, we're going to click on this and then hold Control and then left click once, and we'll select that. And now what we're going to do is we're going to click this button right here next to our symmetrical axis selection. We're going to click on this button right here, and what that will do is this will merge with the vertices. They're very, very close to each other, and it will automatically merge them if it detects that the vertices are merging with another existing vertice. So these are properly connected. So you just make sure you move these around and make sure these are connected and make sure that's turned on. So anyways, once we're done with that, we're going to select these edges. You could also hold Alt if you want to complete it like this, like really quick, and then hit F. You can do the same thing, hit F. And then we're going to make part of the stairs, but we're not going to add textures to it yet. We're going to do Shift-X. Make sure your snapping's off by doing Shift-Tab. There we go. So we got the ladders prepped. Now what we're going to do is we're going to make the teleporter. So we're going to do inset here. We're going to do another inset and then another inset there. So we want to make sure we want to inset it 3 times like that. So now what we're going to do is we're going to snap these. So GZ, GZ, GZ. It's boring. There we go. So now once you got these snapped, what you're going to do, snap to the bottom like that. What we're going to do is we're going to select this outset, and then we're going to pull it. We're going to move it. We're going to move it out just a tad like this, and then we're going to extrude this face by doing this. Maybe we're going to make it a little bit deeper, but not too deep. Yeah, just far enough where it doesn't hit the other part of the area. So anyway, once you got done with that, we're going to do Shift-D. Same thing what we did with the stairs, X. And then what we're going to do is we're going to separate this from the level mesh. So we're going to do P, selection, object mode, select the plane, face select, and then Control R. And then we're going to scroll to 3 loop cuts. And then we're going to activate proportional editing again by hitting O. And then we're going to do GX. And make sure your mouse wheel is outward. If it's not, I think, I'm not sure why it's not appearing. That's really weird. Huh. Here, maybe I have to click the button again. Nope. Huh. I don't know why it's not working. It's really odd. Okay, so if the proportional editing doesn't work, I typically would do something like this. Oh, well, that's weird. I don't know what just happened. There we go. Now we can move these individually. So yeah, we're just gonna ditch proportional editing. Sometimes I do it, and sometimes it doesn't work. I don't know why it's not working in this part. So basically, you move these like this, similar to how I'm doing it. You basically move this and move this backwards a little bit, and move this to make it more of a cylinder, like a half cylinder. And if you get something like this, now what we're going to do is we're going to go to object mode, select the plane that you selected, then the base again, and then we're going to do Control J, and this will be part of the base again. So now we have done that. Now what we're going to do is we are going to add lights. So if you can't see over through the cube, do Alt-Z. And then we're going to do when you have the faces, when you have the face selected here, we're going to go to orthographic view. We're going to do Shift-D and then Y, and then we're going to do scale. We're going to scale on the X-axis, then on the Y-axis again, just like that. Just like something like this, like for the light fixtures would work. Then we're going to do Shift-D again. Shift-D and then Y. There we go. So that works. Now, what we're going to do now is we're going to move these lights down. So I'm going to do Shift-tilde or Shift-F or whatever. I have mine set to Shift-F. Yeah, that's how you activate free camera mode. So and then what we're going to do is we're going to move these down a little bit so we don't have any Z fighting with our geometry. And you should be pretty good to go when you get this portion done. So now we're going to copy this object, make sure that if we're having any issues, we would have this on hand, and you want to make sure you save. And you also want to go into your base here, and you want to hit A, and then we're going to set a material here, and we're going to call this a base, and we're going to assign it, and now we're going to cut into it. But before we cut it, we need to have a proper edge for it, a way to cut it properly, and so that way we don't have any problems. So what you would do is you would click on this doorway and hold Alt, and make sure that these edges are like at the outline of the structure. You want to make sure that these are not they're not highlighting the ladders or the teleporter or anything like that. You want it to be a lot like this, how you see it on screen. So if it looks like this on screen, you're good to go to extrude. So we're going to extrude on the Z-axis, just like that. You can make it as a deep extrusion as you want, and you can move it in any direction. You kind of want to cut like half like this. And then what we're going to do is we are going to add the Boolean modifier. So we're going to do Control S to make sure, you know, if something goes wrong, we can go back to it. We're going to do Boolean, Union, and we're going to click this eyedropper tool and then select it on here. And we're going to turn off backface cull. And on the bottom, you see that you have the faces are flickering. And that's because this object right here, oh, that's weird. Why did it not union? That's weird. Hold on. I'm not sure why, but here. Oh, I forgot to call it base. Hold on a second. I'm just gonna do Boolean, and then we're gonna do difference. Yes, what we're gonna do is we're gonna apply it. So we're going to apply it. Yeah, and there we go. So basically, you're just going to get rid of the one that duplicated. You're going to toss that one out, the one that you used as a Boolean. And that's why I duplicated that one. So is because that does not have any Boolean data on it. So Now what you got to do is you got to cut. You got to delete these edges that we made. And the reason why I do this is to be safe with my cuts, because sometimes it doesn't cut all the way through and it's really annoying. So I would highly advise you to do this if you're having trouble cutting. You could lay it flat and like snap it to like on the surface, but I don't really feel comfortable doing that. So my way of overcoming this problem is doing this. And then you also have to delete the faces on the bottom too. Yeah, I know it's a bit of a pain. You have to do shift tilde to go to the free cam mode and all sorts of stuff to literally select all these edges, because it can be a little annoying. So you make sure all these edges are selected, and then once you select all of them, we're going to do X or hit the delete key and then do faces. Now we're going to do now we're going to do a technique called selecting by trait. So we're going to do Shift G, and we're going to select similar material. And since we called this base, it carried forward with the material that we assigned it to the other object that we unioned into here. So now, make sure this is on, make sure your snapping's on by doing Shift Tab, or if that doesn't work, you would hit that magnet. And what we're going to do now is we are going to snap this to one of these corners. So any of these corners will work. So any vertice that's there, you would snap to. So we're going to do G and then Z. And voila, we got it for the most part onto the level. Now we need to properly cut it. So now before we celebrate, we're still not done yet. You see these weird lines? That's because there's no connecting geometry to it. So what this means is we have to dissolve these edges. So we have to dissolve these edges. So this one's connected and that one's good. So what happened is, and I'll show you, so go to edge or vertex mode by hitting 1 or 2. Go to select, all by trait, non-manifold, hold Z, go to wireframe, and then Alt Z. And as you can see here, it looks pretty fine for the most part. We don't need to worry about the teleporter ladders or the lights because these are render only and these are double sided. But the problem is, you see these lines right here. These lines mean that these are not fully sealed, and that's a problem, and it's a huge problem for the Halo engine. So what this means is that if you try to put this in Halo, tool, which is the command line tool, will basically yell at you saying, well, this has bad edges and da 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 da. You don't want any of those bad edges, because if you have bad edges in your level, it's a nada with any sort of geometry going through Halo at all. Tool spit it out and say, no, I'm not making a level for you. So in order to prevent that, we actually have to do some manual cleanup. So what we're going to do now is we're going to hold Z, go to solid view or material view preview. It doesn't really matter. Now we're going to dissolve the edges that don't really belong. And we all know these lines right here do not belong with it. In order to check with it, you kind of pull back on it, and you can see the void through here. So what we're going to do is we're going to dissolve this edge. In order to do that, we need to hit X or the delete key. We're going to do dissolve vertices, or you can do Control X for short. And then once you're done with it, you can also click on one of these vertices that are part of the subdivisions, and then you can hit J to connect them. So that way you can remove more vertices as you go that are unneeded. So right here, yeah, that's gone. So now we can connect these, J and then J again to connect these, and then we're going to dissolve these, and then we're going to connect these by hitting J. So basically, it's just another way of if you wanted to, you can manually triangulate this manually, but there's a much better way, which I will show in a second. But pretty much that's how you do it by hand. So if you're running into a scenario where you can't really do it by hand or automated, you can do it manually by doing that. So oh, my headset's dying. 1 second. There we go. Okay, so I'm connected now. Sorry about that. Okay, so you can see here, yeah, I know this is not connected. So we're going to do Control X and Control X again. And looks like I got most of them, I think. Yep, it looks like I did. So now what we're going to do is we are going to check our geometry again. So we're going to do the same trick as I did it before. So we're going to go to Edge or Vertex mode. And then we're going to do the flip-flop. Yes, select all by trait, non-manifold. Go to wireframe. And there we go. We have fixed mostly our problems with our geometry. So as long as it looks like this, you should be pretty good to go by this time. So now you're ready to texture this base. So now we're going to do Alt-Z, go back to solid view, and now I'm going to show you the trick that makes triangulation so much easier. So what we're going to do is we're going to hold Shift, select these surrounding faces close to the base, and then we're going to do X, limited dissolve. And once we're done with that, we're going to do Control T, and then down where it says triangulate faces with this little arrow, we're going to click on this little arrow right here. Quad method, we're going to select fixed. And the reason why we do that is since Halo is such an old video game, it won't have it will pretty much make sure that there's nothing wrong with our triangulation, and basically this is the old school way of doing it. So anyways, yeah, that's how you do it, and voila, you got a fully sealed base within this. So now we are going to basically texture our we're going to pretty much texture our base that we have here. So now we're going to add these materials. I'm going to pretty much fast forward this section if you want to go through, you don't want to go through this, but yeah, so I'm going to do this. I'll put these all in the description so you can copy and paste. You don't have to type these out every time. You can if you want to, but just to save time, you can go in the description to copy and paste those names. So we got metal. Oh, and by the way, if you want to use the newer teleporter bitmap, you could do teleporter shield, and then you could do an exclamation mark. So basically, this is going to use the newer texture instead of the crappy gearbox one that looks like this. And you don't want to deal with that. So I don't really want to mess with that. So anyway, just as a tip. So we're going to do the same thing with plate, floor. And then we're going to do the same. So we got the metal, and now I need the metal floor now. So I got to make sure. I really wish that there's a way to save materials properly. I mean, I know there's a way of doing it. It's just it's not very good when it comes to that. So anyway, we got the panels, metal. What else does it need? Oh yeah, it needs the ladders and the teleporter. I already got the teleporter. So I need to add the ladder. So example, tutorial, ladder. We're going to do percent mark. Nope, not that mark. Percent mark and the caret key, which is on 6. And so it's percent mark and the caret key, which is on 6, and then percent mark is on 5. So you do shift 5 and then shift 6. So anyway, so yeah, those are the materials that we're going to be using for the most part. Oh yeah, another one I forgot. Example, tutorial, lights blue. Oh, another thing is I forgot to add the exclamation mark. There we go. Now we can add the TIFF files associated with it. I know it's a bit tedious, which I will fast forward through. Okay, so I got most of the TIFF files associated with it. Now what we can do is we can delete this base material. We're not going to need it anymore. So you go to object mode and then click this minus button. And so, yeah, now we're ready to texture this base. So now we're going to select all around this base here. So I'm basically just going to select all around this structure. Yeah, it's a bit of a tedious process. You can use the spray paint kind of selection tool, which basically is like a circle, like brush select tool. And it will make it faster, but you know, in this setting it kind of isn't. But I mean, you could hide these and then use that. But anyway, so now what we're going to do is we are going to put the panels on. Now we're going to pull out our UV project, vertical split, UV editor, and then we're going to hit U, cube projection. And it looks like here that if I were you, if this comes out with this, I would do SX to extend it out a bit like that. So then you wouldn't have any problems extending this out. So make sure I have this mostly selected, and then I'm going to hit N while in the UV editing viewport, and we're going to do image. We're going to set this from straight to none, and it looks pretty good. Now we're going to add the floor texture on here for here, and we're going to do a simple UV unwrap. If it looks like that, you can just do a smart UV project, and it will fix that. So what we're going to do now is, where is the, oh, oh yeah, I already have it. There we go. So now we can do this. If it looks like this, you could just fix it. You can go to object mode and then Control A, all transforms. So this basically will fix that. So you can do this again if you want. So you could do cube projection again or UV unwrap, and it will help greatly. So there you go. Here's the UV project on that. Now we're going to do the metal, which is here. All this is metal. Yeah, sometimes this gets a little jumpy. I think it's a bug. So yep, so we got this here. Okay, so now we're going to do metal, and then we're going to do a cube projection. We're going to scale this up a little bit, make it look nicer. Now what we're going to do is we're going to add the teleporter bitmap. So basically I used the old one on purpose because yeah, because the texturing, as you see here in Blender, is pretty much not going to always reflect what's in the game. So basically, I'm using this as a reference so I can, you know, set the UV coordinates for the shaders I'm going to be using. So the bitmaps themselves, or the TIFF files themselves, are not going to be exactly represented as it is in Blender. So pretty much they're almost the same. So we're going to UV unwrap this. And if it doesn't go all the way through, we're just going to do smart UV project. There we go. Sometimes I do that, so it, you know, projects it all the way through, and it did. I don't know what is going on there. I don't even know what that is. That's really odd. Huh. So I don't know why there's a random face there. That's kind of weird. Okay, so, oh, my camera's acting weird. There we go. So yep, there's the face of that teleporter. Now we're on to our ladders. So we do ladder, assign. We're going to smart UV project this sucker. And we're going to do the same thing. Smart UV project. There we go. We got all that taken care of. Now we're going to go into here and set this all to metal. U, and then smart UV project. And it will do that. Or we can do Q projection and scale it up. So now we're going to add the metal floor to this. So we're going to do metal floor. Oh, so did I set this into the wrong one? Oh, yep, I did. I did. I set the wrong one. Oops. I set that to the wrong one. There we go. Oh, that's not what I want. That's not what I want. Yeah, I had two metals by accident. I have to change it. There we go. Now I can UV project this properly. So UV unwrap. And then here you can pretty much just do GX or GY and then S like this. There we go. So it'll look pretty nice. Now the final thing is we're going to add the maps, or not the maps, the lights. So we're going to add the lights here. We're going to unwrap it. We're going to rotate this. It's sometimes your projections are a little bit off. Sometimes they act a little weird. So just for reference, you want to make sure that they're correctly in line of what you're doing. There we go. So we got, maybe we should move this on the x-axis like this. It looks pretty good. If you want to save yourself time, you could literally delete this one, and then you can duplicate that one. So you can do Alt-Z, Shift-D, and then move it on the y-axis, turn off snapping. There you go. Now it's in there. And there you go. So now we got the lights. Now, since we got most of the textures involved here, now we're going to do Control S. And sometimes, okay, I'm going to join this. So I'm going to do join areas, do this. Now what I'm going to try to do is like literally flip this to the other side. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set the origin to this cube to surface volume. So what we're going to do is we're going to do object set origin to center of mass, surface. And it would be way up here, and that's normal. So we're going to click on the level itself, not the water, just the level. And what we're going to do now is we are going to add a modifier. So we're going to add a modifier, go to mirror. We're going to do the axis and then bisect to the x-axis, and there we go. It successfully done it. And that's pretty much what that does for you. And it makes it a lot easier, so you don't have to manually do it. The reason why I had this out here is just in case if you had to do this again, you could just do it manually over there without having to do this if this is not working. But since this is working, we're going to apply this modifier. And we're going to make sure there's no buggy geometry. So we're going to click off of here, clear that, non-manifold. And it looks like here that it did a pretty darn good job at doing this. So now, since we successfully copied two bases, copied the base over there to here, now we can successfully put the red lights in, since this is going to be an opposing base. So now we're going to add the red lights. So we're going to do new and do example tutorial. I keep spelling that wrong. Lights and then underscore red exclamation mark. And we're going to set these to red. And then we're going to go down here and get our texture. And this is red. Open. And there we go. Now we can, pull out our UV editor again. I know it's kind of annoying. So you can basically do that, and then UV unwrap, and then we're going to scale it onto here. Yeah, so this looks pretty good for the most part. Now what we're going to do is we're going to do the same thing like what we did to the other side with the light. So we're going to do Shift E and then Y or X, wherever direction you put your stuff at. So there we go. Now, here, I gotta scroll in all the way because the camera likes to jump on me. There we go. So we got the correct texture with that. Now we can focus on our hills. So now, since I told you that we were going to do the hills later, we're going to do those now. So we're going to join these faces. You right click where the double arrows are, join areas, and then basically you're going to join it with that. Now what you're going to do is you are going to turn on proportional editing. I'm not sure why this is not working properly. I'm not sure, but oh yeah, and by the way, since this bisected, you want to make sure that this is dissolved. So you do X and then dissolve edges. It'll get rid of that. So yeah, just make sure you get rid of that through the skybox, just so you know. I forgot about that. So now what we're going to do now is we are going to put the hills in, like I said. And I'm not sure why it's doing that. It's kind of being weird. So I guess we may have to do it manually, which kind of stinks. Oh, I know why. Because probably when I'm in sculpt mode, it probably changed it. So I might need to. I probably need to change that. So I can. Sometimes it does that if you have that problem, but. Anyways, whoa, I am not in draw mode. There we go. No. There we go. Edit mode. What? I don't know what just happened. There we go. Oh yeah, because I was in pencil mode. This split menu here is just pretty much my add-on. That's not really you. That's just me. So. Oh, I see why, because this got like increased to like millions and millions and millions. Okay, so that makes sense. That's why I was having some finesse. So you can turn that on, make sure it's not cranked up to the absolute maximum like I had it. So yeah. You just pretty much, there's really nothing special with this. You kind of just move these up a little bit like that. That's why I kind of like doing this before, is so, that way I have a perfect flat space around here. I mean, yeah, I could have done the masks better. I might have, suffered in that category of not doing that so well, but at least it gives you some sort of good idea. So you kind of want to just make terrain just kind of how I have it here. So you don't need to be rocket physics with this, but yeah, so that works. And now, for the most part, now this should be ready to export. But now, to optimize the geometry of this, now we have to add portals. So I'm going to do what the viewer asked me to do in the advanced section, is to go over portals. So there's two types of portals. We're going to do the easiest one. we're going to do exact portals. So exact portals are basically what confine two endpoints that confine a volume. So what we do here is we go to object mode, select our level, go to edge mode or vertex, whatever you choose. Select this door frame and then hit F, and then we're going to do the same thing here. And once we fill these faces in, we are going to separate them from the mesh. That is the level geometry. So we hit F, and once we've done all these, now what we can do is we can go to each and every one of these faces by doing shift tilde to get to them. And now what we're going to do is we're going to hit P, selection, and select them in object mode, and then face, hit A, and we're just going to add a new material, get rid of all these. So you basically, while you have this object selected, the planes, you're going to get rid of all these materials. You're not going to need these. But what you will put in here is exact portal. What this will do is this will basically act like, once you walk through here, it'll deload all this section here and here, but except the parts that you do see. So this is what's called occlusion culling. It basically gets rid of parts that you don't see behind a wall, which in theory makes sense, and it's a very good illusionary trick. So once we've done that, we hit A, color it, I don't know, yellow, red, it doesn't matter. I like to do red in this case. So we assign it kind of like a fire truck red. And yeah, now you have that set up. And we're going to call this object exact portal. Now what we're going to do is we're going to add real portals, like big ones meant for terrain. Now sometimes you're going to run into problems, I guess that's just me on how they manage it, but it can be annoying. But what we're going to do is we're going to add a plane here. We're going to scale it, rotate it on the x-axis, type 90, enter. And then we're going to scale it, and then we're going to move this up. Now you want to kind of overlap it a little bit, but not too much, because sometimes it gets really picky for some reason. I'm not sure why, but it does. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pretty much get these all together. So basically here I'm going to add backface culling to here, to select the plane. We're going to add, oh yeah, this is the wrong way. So I'm going to rotate it on the z-axis. So RZ 90 or negative 90 in my case. And pretty much you move these portals like this. Now, since you're adding since these portals are here, you don't want to have one that collides with another one. So you want to make sure you do Shift D and then move it over right around here, so it doesn't mess up with the portals over here. So, anyways, yeah, we kind of want to move it over here because we don't want to mess up that. So yeah, so we move this over here. And then what we're going to do is we're going to do Shift X, put it around here. And now we're going to loop cut individually each one. So in this case, we're going to do 4 loop cuts on most of these. I could have done these, I could have duplicated most of these on the fly, but I'm going to just pretty much do these manually. So 4, there we go. So now I'm going to join these. So I'm going to select all these and then Control J. Now I can pretty much fill the faces in. So I can do F, 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 F. Yeah, so you get the idea. You fill all these faces in. Kind of like a like a very, it's like encased with boxes is what it looks like. So with these end edges right here, we're going to extrude it on the x-axis here. Now what we're going to do is we're going to move, we're going to extrude the same thing over here. So we're going to do the same thing over there. What you can do is you can like reset the origin, so we can do origin to geometry, and then we can kind of scale it, sort of, like this. And so that way you can kind of create more of a coverage with this. So if a player decides to go, exploring, they're not going to be really doing that. You can add player clip as well, which we will get to in a second. But yeah, that's pretty much how this stuff works. I'm not sure why. I might need to recalculate. Recalculate outside or whatever. I don't really know. Probably doesn't matter, but as long as you keep it that way, it'll be in the same place. So once you get that done, we're going to add this, and we're going to put plus portals, or plus portal, actually, just plus portal. Make this like yellow or whatever. Yellow's fine. And then we're going to assign it. And now what we can do is we're going to take the portal, and we're going to call this level portals. So we're going to do level portals, and we're going to tie it. So we're going to hold shift on the one first, and then the frame, Control P, keep transform. And then we're going to do the same thing with our exact portals. Control P, keep transform. We don't really need to worry about these two because these are not going to be in export, so you don't really need to worry about these, moving around. So you can kind of do whatever you want with that. So I think we got most of it done. We could add a player clip to it. It's so player clips are essentially invisible geometry, but since technically they have a special flag to them, it's pretty much collision with no texture on it. Pretty much, that's what player clip is. It keeps the players out of bounds. So if you want to add that, you can as a bonus. If you don't want to, you can skip that. But what we're going to do now is we're going to add the player clip, like I mentioned. So if you want to add that, you're more welcome to. You don't need to. It's not really required. So we're going to do that. And then we're going to separate it from Control, or no, not Control P, just P, selection, A, and then we're going to add a new material. And we're going to do example, tutorial, player clip. But this time we're going to add a asterisk at the end. And this is a special flag that basically represents that it's a collidable geometry, but it lets grenades go through. Pretty much, it acts kind of similar to the skybox, but except it doesn't project the sky. It's very complicated. It lets bullets travel through and everything else, but not the player. So anyway, we're going to assign these, but before we do, we need to remove these other materials that are on the plane itself, similar to how we did it on the portals. And Control A, and then you can add like a red color to it. It doesn't really matter, and then assign it. And we're going to kind of do the same thing with the level itself. So in order to add that, here, I'm going to hide this real quick. Okay, so I'm going to hide it. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to add the boundary to this. So I'm going to hit Alt, but I'm going to do this like that. There we go. Sometimes you have to zoom in if their selection's not going through because you're like in front of a face. So there we go. Now we're going to extrude it on the Z-axis. Now what we're going to do, since you have it this high, we're going to do SZ0, and this will flatten it. But make sure your proportional editing is off. There we go. So we can snap that to there. And then we're going to click every and each individual face of these that we just extruded upwards. Now what we're going to do is we are going to separate this from the mesh. So selection, and then here what we're going to do is we're going to hit A, add a new material. Actually, we don't need to add a new material. So what you can do is you can just get rid of these, because you're not going to really need these materials. And we're going to join it with the player clip. So we're going to click the player clip and then Control J. Now what you're going to do with that is you're going to hit A, make sure that this is selected too. If all these are selected when you hit A, you've done this correctly. And then we're going to assign it. Make sure every face of that is assigned. And there we go. That's player clip. Now you have a mostly complete level. Now we're going to unhide this, and this is what this should look like for the most part. Now we've added our portals, exact portals, our player clip. We correctly sized it for the most part. Now, oh yeah, another thing too, I need to make sure this is linked to. So now we need to link the level to the frame as well. So Control P, keep transform. Yeah, same thing with the player clip. So we're going to call this player clip. And then with the player clip, we are going to parent it. We're going to disable this real quick. So player clip, and then frame, and we're going to tie it. And there we go. Now you are done for until hopefully there's no errors. You should be done recreating the tutorial level in Blender for now. So now what we're going to do is we're going to extract this, or we're going to export this as a JMS. And then we're going to go to HCK, data, levels, test, and then we're going to go to you make a folder. So I'm going to make a new one. So basically what you do is you right click, new folder, and then you type in tutorial test by me or something, or you can call it tutorial like this. You can override the tutorial if you want. And then in here we're going to call this models. This is where you're going to put your JMS. We're going to put our level detail as super high. You can keep it in medium or any other setting you want. We're going to disable checksum. Right texture pass, we're going to keep that there. Enable edge angle to 30 degrees. All this should be good for the most part. Now what we're going to call this is tutorial test by me. Sometimes this doesn't do it correctly. And we're going to export the JMS. And it should say exported completed successfully. So now what we're going to do is we are going to go to Osoyoos, which is this application we have here. And now what we're going to do is we are going to import our level geometry. So we're going to go, actually before we do that, I'm just going to start clean here so we don't have any mix up there. So we're going to hit D, or hit the delete key. Yep, so there we go. Minimize that. Now what we're going to do is we're going to import our level geometry. So I'm going to go to levels, so data, levels, test, tutorial test by me, models. And sometimes this doesn't name it correctly, so you got to do the same as you tried to name it before, like this, and then open, and then pray that this works. So hopefully this will come out clean. Yeah, and I knew that was going to happen. I think there's something wrong with my portals, but at least we got a level in, and and there we go. We got We got this to work, so now we can hit enter or spacebar, whatever. Now we're going to go to our scenario tag. So we're going to go to Guerilla, open, and then in here we're going to do levels, test, tutorial test by me, whatever you called it, and then dot scenario. Do not click scenario BSP, just dot scenario. So in here we're going to do multiplayer, add a skybox. We're going to add a sky. You could do any sky you want. I'm just going to do clear afternoon dot sky. Scroll down a little bit until you see starting equipment. Click on this plus button. Add type 0 all games. Item collection 1. We go to tags. Item collection, single weapons, assault rifle, whatever weapon you choose works. Item collections, single weapons, pistol, open, and then Control S, or up here, file save, and then close out of it. Now we're going to run our light maps. So we're going to do light only, draft on maximum settings, import light level, and this shouldn't take that long. It's really not that long, hopefully. I didn't do final because of that, so draft is more quicker. So pretty much this is going to be quicker. So pretty much draft lighting is a lot quicker than final settings. Final settings is what you would use for that kind of stuff. So when you know that there's no errors, you can also go back and doing this final. I like to do it final. You don't have to do this, but for me, I will do final because I like to see maximum lighting involved here. And once we're done with that, we're going to run this in Sapien and see what this looks like. So it should pop up with a level here. So tags, levels, test, and then tutorial test by me. And there's the scenario, and we're going to open it in Sapien. And there we go. There is our structure here. So there is our structure that we created in Blender. Would you look at that? That's awesome. So we got the water running here. It's all animated. Well, I could have done better in that part. It looks a bit crap. But we got a level in. So now what we can do is we can add vehicles or whatever else you want to put in here. So we're going to add spawn points here. So we're going to put all games for our player starting point. We're going to put this over here. Maybe add 2 right here. Maybe add some spawn points here. Yeah, I know these are backwards. So now what we're going to do is we're going to move these over here. There we go. And we have added these parts. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to add these vehicles together and the flags that control the teleporter from going back and forth. So we're going to start with the teleporters first. So we're going to go to our game data, net game flags, and we're going to do teleport from, keep the usage ID to 0. We're going to place this there. And then what we're going to do here is we are going to add, we're going to put this to 2, teleport 2, and put that there, Control S. And then we're going to do from again, but we're going to change this usage ID to 1. Put almost in the same identical spot as this one is. And then over here, we're going to change this to 2 again, how we did it to usage ID 0. But for 1, we're going to put that there. Control S. Now your teleporter is all set up to go back and forth. So now what we're going to do now is we're going to add weapons. So we're going to do net game equipment. We're not going to edit types. We're going to go over here in this properties palette. And over here, we're going to do all games. We're going to select the weapon that we want, which is the assault rifle, for instance. And again, like place one right here, right there, right here. maybe we'll put a shotgun in somebody's base. Shotgun, open. And then here we can put the shotgun in there. And then we can put the same one in there, which is there. Control S. And then we can also put a rocket launcher in here. And we're going to put this there. Then we're going to put the pistol down, for instance. Yeah, so you get the idea. There's just a lot of things you can place down. So you can put the pistol there, pistol right here. So basically, whatever you want. And now we're going to do the vehicles. So we're going to do objects, units, vehicles. We're going to put the vehicle tags. So we're going to go add. Then we're going to go to tags, and then we're going to go to weapons. No, not weapons. Vehicles. Warthog, MP Warthog. Maybe the ghost we can add. We can add the ghost, MP vehicle, add. I think that's what we're going to do here. So we're going to put done. And then here, we're going to put MP Warthog as our type. Slayer default. All these are highlighted, allowed, CTF allowed, king allowed, oddball allowed. Put that there. And the same goes for the ghost. There we go, same thing with the ghost. We'll put that there. And then we're going to put this over here. So we're going to rotate this 180 degrees like that. I want to make sure this is properly straight for the most part, like that. Then what we're going to do is we're going to do multiplayer ghost, which we'll put there, like that. Control S. We can also put trees down, beacons. For instance, we can go to put the beacons around, so scenery. Should be beacons around here somewhere. I think it's emitters. Nope, not emitters. What is it? Oh yeah, flag base we can definitely keep. So we're gonna add that. I think it's under lighting. Nope, it's not lighting. What is it called? Landing beacon? No. It's gotta be something. I think it has to do something. You kind of have to look through the folders to see where it's at. Small beacon. There we go. There it is. So we can put blue, red, and then we're going to put some rocks. Boulder. We put scenery there. We can put small. And if we want to, we can add trees. So we can add a leafy tree. We can also add a pine tree right here. Add. You can add like stumps if you want to get creative. You can do shrubs, small, scenery, large, scenery. We can go under trees. Tree, leafy, medium. So we can do that, add that, and then we should be pretty good to go. So we can actually put the flag bases down first. So that's where the flags would go for capture the flag. So basically that's where the flag bases go. And we're gonna add the beacons. I think this is blue, if I'm not mistaken. Nope, this is red. That's a red beacon. So we're gonna add both of these here. And I'm pretty sure that these are both here as well. And then we're going to add blue beacon, which is over there. There we go. Control S. And then for here, we're going to add the trees. So we're going to add the shrubs and stuff, like little objects here. Now we can do leafy medium, like this, if you wanted to, or we can do tree leafy. It's a little funky how this works, so we're going to do the regular one. Okay, there we go. So we can do the medium one here. So you can label it however you want. Pretty much, it's pretty simple. So you like move these around. So you move these around, kind of like give it a whirl, maybe spread them out a little bit. Like whatever you want, like just whatever to your heart's content you can do. So you can do shrub small. So we can Control S, save that. Then we can add more trees involved. So I think these are pine trees at the end, if I'm not mistaken. So these are pine trees. So we're kind of decorating our level quite a bit. So it's like we have a little bit of leeway here. There we go. And if we wanted to, we can add this here and here, so we can get it more decorative. So really, for the most part, we got a decorative level for the most part. Now we can add like I don't know, like capture the flag, that kind of stuff. We can add the flags to it. Sometimes they don't work depending on where your spawn points are. That's just pretty much how it is. So it has to be like quite a ways away from the actual flag itself. Sometimes it doesn't work, but yeah. So net game flags are pretty self-explanatory. So, anyways, now what we're going to do is we're going to run it inside of Halo to see what it looks like. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to Osoyoos, and then we're going to run the tag test build. So go to open toolkit folder, and then tagtest.exe. We're going to double click on that. And then it should pop up with the game itself. I know I'm going to blank out here. There we go. So we're going to do map, or we're going to hit tilde, map name levels test tutorial test by me, tutorial test by me. You can pretty much you can name it however you want, but we're going to do game variant Slayer map reset, and there we go. Slayer. Now we're inside of it. So now we're going to test our teleporter, and it works. So our teleporter works. Oh, another thing I forgot. What you can do is, oh yeah, we can add sound scenery. I forgot about that. So we can add sound scenery. We can refresh it in tag test build, and I'll show you how to do that. So we're gonna find sound. So sound fx UI, add that tag, which is the teleporter. Ambience, multiplayer, stream.sound, scenery, close out of that, teleporter loop. And then we're going to add these, which basically represent a volume of sound. Control S. Then we're going to do the same thing with the water. So now we're going to put separate volumes of water right here. Control S and save. Now we're going to go back to our thing here, and we're going to type, here I'm going to full screen here. So now what we're going to do is type in, we're going to just, or actually we're not going to type anything. So hit tilde on your keyboard, up above tab, and press up on the keyboard until you see your recent command map name. And this will pretty much reset the level. So we're going to hit enter. There we go.
Slayer.
I don't know if you can hear that. And we have our teleporter sound effect and our water. And we have our water proper for the most part. So you can hear that it corresponds to water correctly. So there we go. So we're going to test our portals here. So what we're going to do is we're going to type in rasterizer wireframe 1. Oh, oops. I guess you can crouch, but yeah, it's a bit tight for the Master Chief. And there is the, you can see here that deloads this geometry. So if you look that way, it'll deload it. So basically, this is useful for that kind of thing. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and put this back. So I'm going to put 0 for false. And there we go. That's pretty much how you make a level. Just make sure that you can adjust this. I think you can adjust it for the most part. You could just, save as a JMS and you can do it all over again. It will reload it. So just make sure you replace it with the new one. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and end this video. I hope you guys learned something and make your maps of your own learning these techniques. Would really, I hope this video helps you understand how this works. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you liked it, please leave a thumbs up. If you leave a comment down below if you have any questions or if you have any feedback, I'll be happy to take a look at those, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care, everyone.